welcome back to my channel and back to the beginner series. So I had to put up a gold background behind me today because it's such an exciting day, because today is brows for beginners, and you guys know how I feel about a brow. I'm really passionate about them. So today I'm going to teach you how to do your brows if you're a complete beginner. I'm going to show you how to do them with just powder. Then I'm going to show you how to do them with a pencil. I'm also going to show you how to groom your brows. So keep watching this Brows for Beginners video if you want to learn how to do your brows too. Okay, so first off with brows, let's talk about grooming. So a lot of people over tweeze their brows when they were younger, or they continue to over tweeze their brows because they feel like they're in a rut and like it looks weird trying to grow back in your brows. Let me give you a little word of advice. Skinny eyebrows probably ain't never gonna come back in, so grow your brows out. You barely pluck or wax or tweeze, whatever you wanna call it, these spaces underneath, and then if you have crazy stuff up here, I'm gonna show you how to kind of cut your brow. Yeah. Okay, so with my brows, so I barely have to tweeze my brows at all. I'm using this little Tweezerman tweezer, and I'm gonna tweeze right underneath this arch, and then slightly right under this brow, just to this front part of the brow, just to kind of clean it up. I mean, I'm talking like 10 hairs a month. I get that people have different types of brows, but still, just a general rule of thumb, keep your natural brow shape as much as you can hair-wise. We'll change it with the makeup. I'm gonna go in now, and this is a really important part because how your brows lay is pretty important. So a lot of people have really long hair kind of on their brows. I'm not really one of them, but I'd still trim my brows at least once a month. So what you do, you get one of these little mascara wands. You can get these anywhere like Nordstrom or Sephora or what is. And you go in, you comb your eyebrows up. You can use water on this part too, but and you kind of see the scraggly hairs, then you're literally gonna just like cut across. These brow scissors are from Walmart or Target or Sephora. So you just follow the natural shape of your brow. See how that just kind of cleaned it up a little bit? As compared to the other one that still kind of got those crazy hairs. Okay, so then when you comb your brow to the side, like after you do it, it's not gonna look, the hairs aren't going to come together and kind of form a darker line. It's hard to explain. Same thing with this brow. You're just barely trimming that. And if you have to go back in, like if you have a lot of hair, go back and do that again. But all right. Okay, so if you are a true beginner with a brow and you maybe don't want to go in with a pencil yet, the Anastasia pencil that I'll show you about, you can use the option of just using a powder. And what's awesome about this is you probably have a medium brown shadow like laying around somewhere up in your house. So what you're gonna take is just any typical like angled brush. This is the MAC 266 brush. And this is a MAC, just a normal eyeshadow. This is called Omega. And you can fill your brows with a powder. Let me show you how. So a lot of people, you don't like I've said before with other things, you don't wanna swipe too much product. I'm just literally like touching. You can blow on it if it's your own brush. And I take it and I like line it up right there to the bottom of where my brow is, and I gently fill in just where the brow is. If you're gonna use powder, this is a more, minor technique. You don't wanna go crazy with your arches and such. And you just will lightly fill your brow in. Now I think that this is a great place to start with a brow, because if you just are needing a little bit of a darker brow but you're not trying to go into like the brow wiz, because you really need to master that brow wiz before you start going cray with it, this is a really nice place to start. And it's, you've probably got this stuff kind of laying around your house. Like so. You just kind of follow the brow. And of course, that's not how I typically do my brows, because I like a much more defined brow, which I'm gonna show you now. But if you just need to fill your brow in, if you're a true beginner, I recommend starting with something like that. Okay, so let me wipe this brow off, and then I'm gonna show you how to do my brow wiz. Hey, sorry to get all up in your personal space, but you gotta see this part closely. Okay, so Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz. I die every day for. I can't find anything else that I love more, so that's what I'm going to use. So there are two sides to this Brow Wiz. There's the pencil part. This pencil product will come up kind of like so. And then there's the brush part. You're going to use both of these parts. So you're going to start out, you're going to brush your brow up like so. I hold my pencil kind of sideways and kind of do it like this rather than like this, because sometimes you'll put too much product like that. So I start right here underneath the brow. I kind of go up from where my, whatever that thing is called, is, and then I just draw the straight line over first. Straight line over. Follow where your natural brow kind of is at the bottom, like so. Anytime you mess up or anything, you go in with that end and it's really easy to erase. Then I do this in tiny flicks. See how I'm holding this? Tiny, tiny flicks. Here, I kind of make a little bit of a square. You kind of round off that square in a minute. So, and then I do the same thing as I did on the bottom, on the top. Draw that straight line, and then I start arching it. Okay, so teeny tiny flicks. It's much better to do it like that. I think a huge part of what makes brows so hard for people is they're holding their pencil wrong. They're holding it like directly onto their eye, and they're pushing way too much product on it. Or they're using like an ashy pencil or like a warm pencil, like, and it's just not matching. You've really got to get the right product, which I recommend a Brow Wiz. And then you've got to follow these guidelines. So that's what I do for the outline. Notice I don't fill in the inside with this Brow Wiz. That, my friends, is where I go in with what I used before. The Omega powder with the angled brush. Barely, barely. And then I'm barely putting hardly any of this on at all. It's almost like I'm just touching the hairs. I'm barely even touching the skin. A lot of people also use too much product here. Voila. Okay, so other brow. Same technique, holding the pencil sideways like this and making that underneath line. Straight line that way. Front, tick, tick, tick. Spill it over here. And then here on the end, where I don't have much hair at all, this is where you don't want to go over your natural brow line much. If there's anywhere where you can tell where people kind of go crazy and like out of line with their brows, it's there on the end. Here you can kind of go a little bit higher than your arch, of course, but you always want to connect it there at the end with your natural brow. That's something that's going to be really important for you to do, especially if you're trying to, you know, make it look natural. I mean, some people don't do that, but who am I to say anything? Because mine are not necessarily natural either. Okay, so see how I did there? And then you just kind of flick, 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 whatever, with that end. And then I'm going to go in, same thing with the Omega. And barely touch that inside. So I used to fill in the inside with my Brow Wiz, but then it started looking a little heavy. So I went with this, and it's a lot softer. And of course, like, I'm all up in your grill right now, so you're probably like, whoa, dock brows. And then sometimes I'll go in and I'll take the end of this and I'll just like soften up that inside point so that it's not so like square brows. Okay, all right, I've backed it up a little bit so I'm not all up in your personal space anymore. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you this part. This is a part that I'll re-show on the eyes for beginners too, because it's kind of part of the eyes, kind of part of the eyebrows, but it's a really crucial part. I didn't start doing this until like a year ago, and it has made the largest difference in my brows. So I'm gonna go in with my Pro Correct and Conceal palette with my MAC palette. And then this is a MAC 208 brush. It's a tiny, tiny angled brush. You can't use that same angled brush that you used with your powder because you're gonna be mixing it all up. I go in with like, it depends on how dark I am, either this color mixed with this color or just this light color. I paint, like take my brush, go back and forth, and then I draw a line under my brow. You're gonna see, this is really gonna like lift my brow. Just little strokes. Then I take it and I turn it sideways and put the rest of that product on there. Bring it a little bit further down onto the lid. And then I rub it in with my fingers. Rub it down away from the brow, not up into the brow. And see, that just kind of lifts the brow up. Also, like if you don't have time to tweeze your brows, underneath it really covers up like a lot of hair. So you can also do this above the brow or on the inside too. It just really like cleans that brow up. I like a clean brow, you know what I'm saying? Same thing with this one. And you can really use any sort of light, a concealer, or if you have a really light foundation, you could probably use that too. But this just works quite well. See, so that just really lifted that brow. And then of course, like before I do my eye makeup, I'll go in with my paint pot or a concealer or whatever and cover the rest of my lids. But I just want to show you that part because I think that is pretty critical for the brows. Sorry, there is a police driving by. It's gonna arrest me because my brows are looking so on fleek. I know I don't use that word in a very cool manner. So that is that for brows. And I use the Anastasia products, which I think that there is nothing better out there for brows. I also recommend, there's a Laura Mercier brow pencil that's really good and it's less kind of dense than this one. I think once you learn how to use this one is the best. But if you want something between a powder and a brow wiz, I'll link that one below too. But I hope you guys learned a lot from this video. Like I said, I'm trying to do these beginner series to kind of help you guys freshen up on your skills of how to do things, or a lot of times I'll be watching a video and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the step that I've been missing. So I hope this helps you guys, and be on the lookout for eyes next. Thanks for watching.